Joining us to review some of the headlines of today's newspapers from around the world is a Rise News analyst, Emmanuel Efeni. Great Malabite.
Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning, Victoria, Tundu, MK, Abiola. Yes, you are not doing badly at all. Good morning, Rufai.
Morning, sir.
Yes, let's start the review with this day, Nigeria's newspaper of record, the lead story. Buhari, we won't preempt states over decisions on NSAs. US seeks proper accountability of findings. Government lawyer disputes panel's leaked report that doubts casualty figure. Identifies 40 discrepancies in document. 800 million naira spent on panel's 13-month sitting. Yes, the President Muhammadu Buhari, yesterday receiving the U.S. Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, saying, yes, we'll just wait for not only the Lagos panel, but all other panels set up by states in connection with the NSAS demonstration. And only after the states have acted on their reports, the federal government will weigh in, as it were. Yes, we expect the federal government to weigh in because the police is a federal agency and the army is, of course, an agency of government. The president is the commander-in-chief of the Nigerian Armed Forces. Did the soldiers go to Lekki toll gate with the knowledge of the commander-in-chief of the Nigerian Armed Forces? Well, when he received the report about what the soldiers did at Lekki toll gate, I'm sure the president will do the needful. To do otherwise will be counterproductive, to put it mildly. Now, other newspapers are also reporting this story. The Guardian newspaper, NSAS report, why we are yet to act, Buhari tells Blinken. Blinken will insist on accountability, addressing victims' grievances. Nigeria must be redesignated on religious violators list. U.S. agency kicks. Federal government, Oyebode Oseni Huriwa, reacts to removal from religious freedom blacklists. Now, the Vanguard newspaper, also the same story as its lead. NSAS, federal government waiting for panel report from states, Buhari. But just above the lead story, strike. Federal government promises to address ASU's demands in 7 days. I think, of course, Bajabia Miller also intervening on this matter yesterday, and we hope this will be the case, that in 7 days, at least major highlights of the ASU request, which the federal government acceded to, will be dealt with so that we don't have another round of strike in federal universities. Now, the New Telegraph newspaper, U.S. support for Northeast hits $1.45 billion, according to the consulate. Says military intervention not enough to solve security challenges. Yes, Tundu, you were happy that Antony Blinken did not mention anything about the Lahiri law. And Nigerian army, the military, will continue to get support from the U.S. by way of sales of weapons in the fight against insurgency, banditry, and the likes around our country. Well, let's hope for now that will continue to be the case, because some bodies have already called the attention of the U.S. Congress to what they think is untoward about the Nigerian military. Now, the Daily Independent newspaper, Nigeria's economic recovery slows as GDP drops by 0.98%. Yes, the Bureau of Statistics released the GDP figures yesterday. Some slowdown there in the month-on-month GDP rate. But of course, year on year, as a result of where we're coming from last year, there is an improvement, obviously. Now, the Daily Sun newspaper, bandits now use radio frequency walkie-talkie. Victims narrates 29-day ordeal with kidnappers in Niger State. These bandits seem to have found a way around the shutdown of GSM network in many parts of the Northwest, which the authorities believed will cripple their activities. But again, it means the government and the military, they have to look for other solutions beyond shutting down of telecoms network in that part of the country. Now, the Business Day newspaper, real estate emerges as world's most popular store of wealth. Yes, 2/3 of the global net worth is stored in real estate and only about 20% in other fixed assets, according to consulting firm McKinsey. So, those who have invested in real estate, yes, that seems to be the way to go. Now, the leadership newspaper, they call Leadership Friday. After 3 positive growths, Nigerian GDP slows to 4.03%. Yes, talking about the GDP figures just released by the Bureau of Statistics. Daily Trust newspaper, train passengers stranded. Nigerian Railway Corporation loses millions as unions strike. Traveling to Kaduna from Abuja by road, risky. Tough time for intra-city commuters in Lagos. We are engaging unions management. Yes, the railway workers embarked on 3 days, warning strike, they call it. And we hope after these 3 days, the authorities, the management will engage with the workers. Because when you hear the amount being paid to some of these workers, you will shudder in your suits, as some of us have already done. Poor salaries, and elsewhere in other climes, those who drive trains are well paid, well trained, and they are among some of the best workers around. Now, if we just look at the foreign newspapers quickly, the Times of UK. Priti Patel, yes, Patel blames EU for mass migration in China. Open borders have left France overwhelmed with migrants trying to reach Britain. Yes, Priti Patel, the Home Secretary, is saying the real problem on illegal migration flows is the EU has no border protections whatsoever. That is his submission. And of course, the UK authorities are trying to find a solution. Albania, you go if you come through the channel as an illegal migrant. Now, the Wall Street Journal states investigate Instagram over how it affects children. Tundu, this is your favorite topic. Yes, a bipartisan coalition of attorneys general said it is investigating how Instagram attracts and affects young people, upping pressure on parent company Meta Platform. Yes, Meta Platform, the new name of the parent company of Instagram Incorporation, over potential harm to its users. This is led by 8 states in the U.S., including Massachusetts and Nebraska. The coalition is focused on the techniques used by Meta to increase frequency and duration of engagement by young users, and the resulting harms it caused by, of course, every extended engagement. So this investigation is on, and the company, of course, to know whether this company has violated consumer protection laws and, of course, putting public health at risk.
Absolutely. I can just imagine the eating disorders, the body dysmorphia. When you see grown men and women who can't stand a picture of themselves without being filtered beyond all recognition, you can imagine how a child will start to view themselves, and you compare yourself to other people. When you see adults doing that, imagine how children will do it. So I do think it will be ruinous to a child's mental and possibly physical health. So this is a really great investigation. Children's minds must be protected. But I want to point out a very important story. A picture here. Ebony Life lands in Harvard on the cover of This Day and The Guardian, I believe, but I'll use This Day's. This is a picture of Mo Abudu during her visit to conclude a plan by Harvard to teach case study on Ebony Life this month. By this feat, Ebony Life becomes first female African-owned MBA case study at Harvard Varsity. That's a big deal. Congratulations to her.
It is. Congratulations. Mo Abudu has come a long way.
Yes.
Doing great things over time.
That's a big congratulations to her, and well deserved, I should say. You know, when you look at the antecedents, try to create something of Ebony Life stature in an economy like Nigeria is not really very easy. And owing to the fact that she came into media, she had not always been in media. I think she was in HR for so many years. So she just came into media a couple of years ago, and she's done very well for herself. But the story that I want to talk about is the one, I think, on the top page of the Daily Trust that talks about this strike for rail
workers, yes.
I mean,
the Daily Trust there. Let's put
shocked.
up Daily Trust. Train passengers stranded.
I was shocked yesterday that despite the billions we put into rail development in this country, nobody thought of human capital development. And we keep pumping billions, we keep buying coaches and carriages in. So the people that are to
standard
operate,
gauge and coaches,
so the people that are to operate this, they are not human beings. I mean, I thought human capital development.
Well, they were taken for training, but after the training, they received allowances while training, and they returned to their paltry salaries, and that's why we're having this strike.
I'm sure. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sure the people that are building those rail lines, the expatriates, I'm not sure they get 26,000 naira a day in allowance. But that's how much you are paying the driver that is taking over 15,000 people.
You can't live on 26,000 naira a month.
Can you imagine?
I just don't see how that's possible in Nigeria today. Even the minimum wage of 30,000 naira a month, who can live on that?
Has been overtaken
Yes.
by inflation and
Who can live on
devaluation
that?
of the naira.
Yes.
So and you are paying them this and nothing is being done and you don't want them to speak. So now it makes sense to me why trains were stopping midway in the bush to carry extra passengers.
All right, you think, okay, when those people pay the fees, it goes to the driver's pocket?
Yes.
To supplement?
Yes.
So they're resorting to crime to
Yeah, so they're
supplement
resorting
their
to crime,
income,
obviously.
right.
So now it
And
makes sense.
endangering the lives of passengers.
And endangering the lives of passengers. So now it makes sense. Because if you say
26
a driver that will drive from Warri to Itakpe, for instance, over 80 to 100 kilometers, will earn 26,000. You know, one of the accounts, when we interviewed the workers, he said some will even beg for 200 naira to have a meal after a train ride so that they will be able to have strength to go back to that train and drive them back to Kaduna. So we don't care about these people. And when things happen, we start to make... Now we've seen how important they are. Trains can't leave Abuja to Kaduna again. People are scampering here and there. And they can't travel on the roads because of the security situations. But the question is, will anything be done? Will anything be reviewed?
No, I think this should be a wake-up call
for
those in charge.
The warning strike.
Please, we don't want a prolonged strike.
Yeah.
This is just a 3-day warning strike. Because if nothing is done and these workers embark on a long strike, then we'll start having the Minister of Labour going to negotiate with rail workers back and forth, making promises that will not be kept. But I think it is high time their issues are addressed right now.
With the looming specter of an ASU strike, another
the ASU strike, ASU has pulled back from his position, thank goodness, and the Minister of Finance has promised that in the next 1 week, at least part of these issues will be dealt with, and we hope there will be commitment to implementation of agreement reached with ASU so that we don't have another prolonged strike. The last strike, students lost one academic session.
Yes, that was like 7 months at home, wasn't it? For
And
the
It was
in
more
all
than that.
In all of this, have the doctors, the resident doctors, been sorted out properly?
Well, they are back to work for now.
Okay.
And we hope that whatever is still outstanding in their demands will also be met so that they don't return to strike after a couple of months.
And has NASU been addressed?
Well,
That's the non-academic staff.
yes, they are also complaining that the amount the federal government has given for, I think, 30 billion, what will be used to settle the non-academic staff is too small. But I think those are matter of details. Let them start the settling of outstanding allowances and other perks that resulted in those strikes in the first place.
Okay.
It does cause a lot of concern, I have to say, the constant threat of strike and actual strikes. It's a problem.
Yes, labor unrest, I don't think is good for the economy. It's not good for the system. We saw what it has done to the education sector over time. And the rating of our universities, public universities for that matter, taking a big hit because of this incessant strike. And I just hope when government make promises, it is very important, not just this administration, it's been so over time. When they make promises, effort should be made to at least actualize these promises.
This is the bottom line. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Fani.
Thank you so much.